page go through a cycle, go from the server to the client, web server, and the client is the browser. What goes into the cycle is the HTML document, and where it goes into the output devices, and from the output devices it goes to the user. The server side. Server side is everything that is processed from the server. In this case, a web server. The user makes a request, and the request has to travel back to the user. This is a mistake here, before the user can receive a response. The main advantage is that it's not browser dependent. Whatever comes out of the server, it comes as it is. It's not changed by the client. The main disadvantage is that too many requests might overload the server, and when the server is overloaded, the server might stop working. That is very bad. Another advantage is that it can be executed. You can create files, you can write into files, you can pass information from one page to another in forms, and also through pages, by the use of sections and cookies, etc. And then the client side is everything that can be processed or viewed by the browser or client. Whatever is in the client side, it doesn't have to travel back to the server in order to give you a response. For example, if you had any application into JavaScript that is in the client side, your applications will work without the page traveling back to the server. Everything is being processed into your own computer. So you're saving a lot of resources to the server by using a client-side application. The main advantage is that your applications can be used offline. It catches all sorts of user events. That's another thing. I mean, in the case of JavaScript, other client-side language might not be able to do the same thing. But JavaScript, it catches all events for the user. For example, or where your mouse is located, you can easily find it through JavaScript. What type of screen you have, what size is your screen, your monitor, and what resolution. You can find whether the user went out of one page, whether the user decided not to pay attention to this label here. You will see, it's on focus. It's many events in the JavaScript that allows you to see all the user events. The main disadvantages are that it's browser dependent, and until now there is not a real Tor agreement between browsers, even though there are many progress into that area. IE is one of the biggest problems because it doesn't follow standards, but right now IE is getting much better, and there are many ways to make IE to behave. It does not write to other pages. Data cannot be passed from page to page, and sections die within the same page. That's the reason why you cannot pass data from page to page. Servers. What servers are? Servers are programs or devices. Some people call servers the machine, the actual machine that has all the services inside, all the programs that are, that are running servers. But the server is mainly the application. Servers are programs or devices that serve another application of user client on a local or remote machine. As programs, they respond to a protocol and are usually processes or daemons that run into the background with a port or ports assigned to them and communicate through sockets. The server that we use for web is, the protocol that I use for web is HTTP. Also, you can use the HTTPS. The HTTPS responds to the port 443, and it's for SSL encryption. And the port for the web page, the regular port is port 80. That's the default one. But you also can use there is another one that is There is another server that serves web pages, not directly, is the proxy server. The proxy server might be using another port. Usually the proxy port is 8080. And servers can be organized, can organize files, directory, transfer file, load files, manage permission, connect devices. Every server has to have a function. Otherwise, it's not serving anything. It has to do something, okay? They usually respond to specific functions. That's what it says here. Okay, your web server serves as a compiler or interpreter for your web pages and applications. Web servers serve many functions through the use of modules. Those modules could be built-in modules. They could be free or they could be paid modules. Browsers. Browsers are applications that process or interpret your HTML pages and client-side applications such as JavaScript code. As you can see, the client and the web server, in this case the client, the browser, and the web server, has the same function. They interpret your HTML pages. They process the code for your pages. The only difference between browsers and clients, actually there is many differences, but the main difference between browsers and web servers is that the web server serves the website that is remotely, the one that you access, the one that is serving, the one that is bringing the files to you. And the browser is the one that allows you to retrieve those files from the server. Browsers come in many flavors. It has been a dream to get all of them to follow standards. We are getting much closer than ever. Well, actually not really, because now we have the iPhone, we have the tablet PC, we have many devices that are working the way that they are new, that they're still working into the adaptation and the standardization, making that the user can see the same thing in every single device. But still some browsers just don't behave. It's more than that. It's more than just not behaving. Every application should be tested for browser compatibility, at least for the latest popular browsers, or also the browsers that your target users are going to be using. Because let's say, for example, the most popular browsers are Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and young users that are using iPhone. Then you have to find out what type of iPhones they might be using, or another type of. You have to figure out what browser they're using, how that browser behaves, what type of screen most likely they're going to be using, etc. Whether you have to make your template flexible, or you can have your template static. The standard way of creating your template, comes with another problem. You have to study, who are your target users, what devices they're using, and what experience you want them to have with your application, whether you're serving photos, you're serving videos, or you're serving just simple text. HTML document. The HTML document is the result of the interpretation of the web server and the user agent. What I said is the result. Actually, the HTML is a bunch of tags that open and close. That used to be in the old days, with HTML 3.2. But then HTML4, they came into XML with so many other features and standardization, more strict standards than HTML 3.2. But then HTML5 is a total new concept. In HTML5, we make a very good use of JavaScript and CSS in order to present our applications, because now HTML5 supports videos. Before it used to support videos, but not as much as now. It supports SVG. SVG can be actually real applications inside your page. It works more like Flash. And also the canvas. You have the canvas in HTML5. The canvas presents Canvas is more for bitmap images, and SVG is more for vector images. It supports SVG. The HTML code will be directly written or embedded into the server-side scripting or CGI. CGI is not being used so much anymore. CGI was very popular in the past, in the old days, where it was hard to create dynamic pages, and people were using almost any type of language for the web. But CGI is way too dangerous, too risky when it comes to security, because you have to give high permissions to CGI, like 755, 777, and stuff like that, and that's a security hole, big security hole. Let me go back here and show you the image. This image is I drew this image in the it's a program similar to Vision. The web page cycle. This is the server side. The server side is what comes directly from the web server and the database server. So everything that happens around here is the server side. The server side might use XML and JSON in order to manipulate data from, and also here Ajax is the middleman between the client side and the server side. Ajax makes very good use of JavaScript, CSS, and XML. Those three technologies together, and also JSON, is what make Ajax so powerful. Ajax is not a language. Ajax is not a single technology. It's just a conjunction of many to make those two to get together, the client side and the server side. It was said that there were many security holes with Ajax, and many people were very hesitant to use Ajax. But what happened is that usually the server side was not, the client side was not so protected, because most of the sensitive data was being manipulated and used with the server side scripting. But when Ajax came about, so everything becomes one, and then it happens that we need to protect also the client side and with Ajax. So the whole application, if you're using Ajax, the whole application has to be protected, the server side and the client side. Your section must be closed for not only the server side but also for the client side. You have to make sure that your strings are were formatted, that there is no escape or code or injection or anything into your code. The same way that you protect your server side, you have to also protect your client side, because now both are dealing with sensitive data. In this case, sensitive data doesn't have to be social security, just whatever you need to protect from the end user. Okay, this is supposed to be like a firewall, but a firewall, is not always necessary. You might have a router that also works as a firewall if you just have one computer or a few computers inside your network, and all of them are protected just through this firewall, and it can work. Then when it comes to the outside, this is part of the user section here, is the web browser. From the web browser, the user can access your HTML document, which is already processed and translated as an HTML page. And the user will access your document through different devices. These are samples of some of the devices. This is not an iPhone, but it's supposed to be like a phone, a cell phone somehow. And this is the screen, or monitor, or desktop computer. And this could be a printer, a fax that is connected to the web and is accessing your HTML page. And also your laptop, your tablet PC, your TV, etc. Okay, output devices. We already talked about output devices briefly. So output devices are all types of devices used to surf the web. They could be TV, laptops, iPhones, desktop, commercial terminals to access the web. tablet PCs, etc. Output devices are bringing a new challenge into the web development and design. Why they bring a new challenge? Because they are very different with it, with each other. They use different browsers. They use different technologies. They use different screens. They have different. There is no standardization between them yet. So it's like when the web first started, there was no standard of anywhere. So to write for the web was very difficult. And browser compatibility became the main issue. There was a big war between, I remember there was a big war between Netscape 4.7 and I believe was IE 5.1. I don't remember exactly, but there was a big war because IE was giving you nice pages. The style sheets were looking really great, and while then and there was another big conflict. I discovered myself and later on that the big conflict between those two browsers, one of the major conflicts was that IE was using divisions while Netscape was using layers. And layers were harder to manipulate and use, and most people were just using divisions just out of the box from the CSS. And